Hey soccer friends, I just want to give a shout out to our partner, Team Player. They are changing the game on how you find the perfect soccer team for your player. Parents, this means no more endless social media scrolling to find information on teams. With Team Player, everything you need to know is just a few clicks away. It's simple, straightforward, and lets you find the best coach and team for your player without any of the usual headaches. And coaches, we all know how tough it can be to get your team noticed, but when you subscribe to one of Team Player's team plans, you instantly get access to set up an online team profile that allows you to reach more potential players and showcase what your team is all about. It's super easy and lets players and parents see why your team could be the right fit for them. And if you sign up using the promo code PITCH, you can try any team plan free for 1 month. So whether you're managing a team or searching for one, come on over to www.teamplayer.us. That is TEAMPLAYR.US. And come give Team Player a look. Family-owned Soccer Innovation is your go-to source for top quality equipment. Whether you're a player, a supportive family member, or a dedicated coach, they have everything you need to elevate your game. For players, their innovative equipment are designed to boost your skills and performance on the pitch. From their agility cones to their portable goals, they have you covered. And family members, they offer durable equipment that's built to last because we know your support is critical to your player. Coaches, trust me, they can provide the equipment you need to run effective training sessions and shape the next generation of soccer players. Visit Soccer Innovations at soccerinnovations.com to start elevating your game with them. And if you use the code PITCH, PITCH, you can receive up to 10% off your next order. Hello and welcome back to Chat by the Pitch. This is Ian Babcock, your host. This is the third installment with Coach Anthony, Coach Fierro, and Coach Hugo. This is them talking about Lincoln Football Academy and what it stands for and what they are trying to achieve with their academy attached to their coaching staff that work with Salcede. So let's start this chat and head to the pitch. So with the Lincoln Academy, so that is offered at your fields in Colleyville. So what is the philosophy of the academy then of with being tied with your teams? Because I feel like it's offered to the outside is how I understood it. It's offered to everyone in the community, but you guys give first dibs to your teams. So what is the philosophy of the academy today?
We provide the best players that we have in the private training and the group training, Lincoln Football Academy. Our best players there, we provide them with that path for them to play at a high level, right? Which is ECNL, ECNL, and all that other stuff, right? So our philosophy of developing players is that when they come in, we gotta see them improve, right? We put in the effort of improving them to the point where when we see them improve to a certain level, then we tell them, okay, you're ready. If we have the teams over here for ECNL, pre-ECNL, all the stuff, right? If that player reaches that level, then he can join our club, right? We also do have players who are not at that level yet, right? They come up to us and they find a team and they're asking us for help to find a team. Okay, we'll help you find a team. Stick with us. They train with us. They keep training. And when we feel like they're ready, we bring them into the club. Now, the other way is also where we have players from the club, right, from who they want to get better, right? They wanna get that training, right? So players as Hugo, players as Anthony, hey, can I get some extra training with the Lincoln Football Academy? So basically, we're providing every single Solar player has the opportunity to have extra training on the side, high level quality that they're going to improve with at the same playing at a high level with the BCNL, NTX, NTX, right? For the don't play in Solar, it's more of like an opportunity to improve with us and level, see where they have to be in, right? And help them get to that level, right? I know Hugo, he focuses a little more on the younger kids, just more on the older players. But Hugo, I don't know if you want to add a little more to what you're trying to in the club and the academy.
Well, we have the like Fierro was explaining, we have the different programs within the academy, Lincoln Academy, and like you said, Ian, it's open to the whole community. Whenever we see a player that is depending on the level that he comes with, and of course the mentality, that's the first thing that we notice. Do they have the will and the mentality to join the academy for whether it's private training, one-on-one training, group training, or the other programs that we have, which is the next programs after private training, group training. We have a program called EYDP. This program is elite youth development program, where we go and select different players from whatever, first from our club, from Solar, from our teams. We select these players also from other teams that we've seen around, and we decide to make group trainings, and we call them EYDP team trainings, where these players with the same mentality, almost the same skill level, they come in, they train with us. And for an example, we just started EYDP, which we invited Landon into. These training sessions run Fridays. They start 5:30, and the second group's at 6:30. And we have a 12. We write down a training session of 12 sessions, with about 2 to 3 scrimmages as a team. But we this academy is for everybody. It's for players. All you need to have is that mentality and that will to learn, to be coachable. But whatever your skill level is, we have programs for that player. And if you're wishing, if we see a good progress within yourself and you're wishing to remain within the program, within LFA, within Lincoln Football Academy, then you can move up the ranks all the way to EYDP training sessions, which I do the younger age groups, and Coach Fierro does the older age groups of EYDP.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And the programs that you guys offered, I know you have the EYPD. You guys do private sessions then also through the Lincoln Academy?
We do private sessions. We do one-on-one sessions. We do group trainings, which max out at 6 players per session. And we do EYDP team trainings, which max out about 14 players to 12 to 14 players. Those you have to go, it's an application process, and we have to assess you, and from there you're able to join the EYDP team.
We also have LFA is also, so when Fierro had his company Superbia, he basically brought it under LFA, so we absorbed all the training that he had. So we currently have Lincoln Football Academy training in North Dallas. We have it in Frisco, and we have it in Colleyville. So
gotcha.
the North Dallas is done by David Ortiz. He plays for the Sidekicks and the U.S. national futsal team. So he works with us and does training in North Dallas. Frisco, Fierro does a lot of the Frisco stuff. And then Colleyville, Hugo does a lot of the stuff. And then we're hopefully about to get one more really good coach, but I can't tell you who it is. So he's going to come and help us in Colleyville.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's key, is finding coaches that want the same vision as goals you guys are. So
coaches in fields.
Yes.
What it's all about, coaches in fields.
Fields, coach. I feel coaches are harder to come by. Fields might be a little easier.
Yeah, that's true.
With all you guys do then with the academy, you guys. So you have I'm just trying to break it down in my head because I'm trying to understand all of it. I mean, one-on-one training is simple,
right?
But with the Lincoln Football Club Academy, how often do you guys offer? Is it like a daily thing? Do you guys have certain days a week that you guys do it? Is it always on a rotation? Can we find it on your website, or is it just?
Yeah, so there's a it's based on Pocket Suite is an app where we basically do all the training on there, and you can get training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so the teams are done on Fridays. Really, we're just trying to focus on teams only on Fridays. Monday through Thursday is the training, so private and group trainings. And then there'll also be some trainings on Saturday, Sundays. Like David does a lot of stuff out North Dallas on Saturday and Sundays. In Frisco and Colleyville, we don't do a lot on weekends based on all of our coaches have games. So we don't try to do much stuff. So the heavy stuff is Monday through Thursday for the private and group training. And then the Friday is the teams that obviously you have to get accepted to. And then Saturday, there's some additional training in North Dallas, and we try to actually take Sunday just off.
That's not allowed. No days off. There's no days off in soccer. It's
Yeah,
grinding
I know.
365 days and not giving players rest so they can get injured easily. And
we know. So yeah.
So the academy side is truly more of, do you guys work on particular defense or do you guys work on shooting? I feel like shooting is everywhere. I feel like the defensive side is missing. Do you guys focus more on one or the other, or is it kind of 50-50 split, or depending on what you can say market is moving, depending what players are coming out to work with you guys, or what's the case there?
I think, Hugo and Fierro, they can probably speak deeper on this because they run a lot of the, we really, like, so from my job, I kind of just manage everything, whereas Hugo builds the training programs for the 12 and under kids. Fierro builds the training for the 13 and up kids. So they could probably speak more on the training. I kind of just manage everything. So you can kind of speak on that. I know Fierro's probably gone.
It's a holistic. Yeah, we have to focus on everything. We don't only focus on one aspect of the game. We focus on everything. And depending on what we see on what the kids' needs are, or the player needs are, but we try to focus on every single aspect of the game. Nothing is more important than the other. And yes, like you said, we see all these Instagram videos of flip flaps and all these different skills, but and at the end of the day, what really matters is, can you receive the ball well? Can you pass well? And can you understand the game well? Can you understand the phases of the game well? And yes, we of course we want to give the creativity to every player, and without forgetting that every player is different and every player needs to be also creative, because in the long run, at the pro level, the way you break a good defensive line, and it's with that creative player. So understanding, yes, spaces and positions is very important for us, but without breaking the creativity or denying the creativity of the player, we want to teach the player every single aspect of the game, and most importantly, on my training specifically, can you receive well? Can you pass well? Do you understand the game well enough? And we move forward from there.
Gotcha. I think that's, as a parent, I think maybe I'm a little bit more jaded now because I talk to all these lovely coaches and experts on this. I think we as parents tend to want to interject our opinions more and not let you guys coach. And as you're saying, it's like you're taking what you have in front of you and applying it. So what do you guys do then in the circumstances where in the academy it's like, I want my kid to be able to do X, Y, and Z better? You talked about being creative. I'm an advocate for creativity through and through. My favorite story is Landon's. You guys might know Segu, that coaches with the Outlaws, Whiskey Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
The goalie coach there, and he's Sting's goalie coach, director of goalie coaches, and he challenged Landon to learn to do a rainbow. And this is the question I ask every coach when I'm interviewing them most of the time, unless they say something that makes me not want to ask. It's, would you let a kid do a rainbow in the middle of the game? And I had a coach flat out tell me no, he needs to do exactly what I tell him to do. And when you're doing individual training and small group training, how do you encourage creativity then within the academy then with the players?
Yes, not especially at youth ages. We have to be creative. Sorry, Fierro, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we have to let the kids be creative. It's a matter of, you have your own style of coaching, but Here, a couple of times you can just say, hey, now be creative on your own. Show me what you can do against, for an example, against myself or against this player. Against you, for me, you give them the tools. You give them the hey, this is what you can do in this situation. I am teaching you what you are able to do in this situation, but there's so many other ways that you can get, for an example, around a player. There's so many ways that you can do this type of pass. But you got to give, as a coach, you give these players the tools of, okay, I remember coach telling me this is what I could do in this certain situation. I will try to do that, but within themselves, they may think that there's another way in that specific situation. Try it out.
I like that.
For me, when I try to encourage that creativity from the player, it's for me when a player comes to us to LFA to get training, right? It's for them to get better in the things that are gonna make them play better in the games, right? So their first touch, their shots, their passes, all that other stuff, right? And also we teach them tactics, right? Why they should be doing the decision that they're doing, right? Not just, okay, go and do it, and if you don't do it right, I'm just gonna scream at you. No, right? We tell them the purpose. What's the purpose of the movement that we're trying to train? If he doesn't get it, then we keep trying to make him understand it, right? But if the player gets that movement, the decision, the touch, whatever it is we're trying to get better for him, that for us is already a win, right? Now, when you talk about creativity, then for me, creativity is more of like you said, the rainbow, right? An elastica, a step over, a something like that, right? There is sessions where I like to work on those things, right? We'll 1v1 and work on your creativity taking 1v1 against this player, right? But for me personally, I feel that those things have to be trained by the player on his own at home, right? Because the way I learned how to be creative was watching players like Ronaldinho, which when I was a little kid, watching Ronaldinho play was like watching an orchestra give a beautiful symphony, right? You see Ronaldinho play, I fell in love with the way he played. So what did I do? I went home, backyard, I trained my elastica, I trained my step overs, I trained everything that I wanted to train to be able to do it in the game. Now, my players, when they come for the players that come to LFA, we try to give them the basics, right? We try to make sure that they have the tools necessary to succeed in their teams, right? But at the same time, we encourage that creativity by implementing certain drills that demand them to think about what they're gonna what movement they're gonna do, right? If they go 1v1 against the mannequin to go and shoot, okay, we got the mannequin, and if I tell them, okay, give me whatever movement you want to do, just whatever you want to do it. And if I see that they don't have anything, that they go up to the mannequin, they don't really know what to do, okay, well then that's we come in, we tell them, okay, well now let's train the step over, now let's train the elastica, now let's train the drag and go, now let's train the shot with the left, shot with the right, whatever, all this other stuff, right? So I feel like the main thing for players to be creative is to train those movements at home and then use them in practice and games, because it has to be together. You gotta train it at home and then use it in practice and games. If you train it at home and you don't have the confidence to use it in games, then you're training it for nothing, right? If you want to do it at games, but you're not training it at home, then in the games you're gonna be losing the ball every time because you're not confident enough to do it in a consistent way. So train it at home and then make sure you enforce it during the game and practices by doing it, by being brave, right? So that's the word that always comes to my head, is just being brave, right? You train it at home, okay, well then now you go to the practice and you go to the games and be brave and use it and do it and try it over and over and over again, right? I can see a player when he's trying to skill and it doesn't work. I can see if that player has been training it at home. And I can also see if a player is trying a new skill, he just tries it for the first time in the middle of the game, right? You can tell if a player has been training that skill, right? But for me, yeah, creativity, all those movements, just watch players play, watch professional players play, and see if you can do the movements that they do. Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, all those other players, right? Watch what they do and train it at home,
Well, so you have to remember that creativity is not only skill. Creativity is game vision and putting the ball. For an example, you watch Messi. He's giving passes where nobody sees, right?
Right.
He's seeing spaces that nobody sees, and the way you gain that creativity is watching football and playing more, giving the players play, and that there's different ways to be creative, not only in skill, right? But yes.
Right. I mean, creativity at a younger age is different than a 15-year-old. Creativity is knowing
Yeah,
when
but I feel
to
like that
switch
type
the
of
ball.
creativity that Hugo is talking about, the the no look pass, all those other things, it comes from you playing more games and having a good coach to guide you through those games. I feel like that type of creativity is not something you can just go and train it in a session. It has to be more of a long term, little by little. You start telling the player, hey, okay, this and that, this and that, this and that. Little by little, he's improving, right? So if we have a player at LFA who sticks with us for 2 years, okay, we're gonna see the difference, right? But if a player comes to LFA and he's just with us for 2 months or 1 month or just half a year, it is not enough time to create that much creativity, that the creativity that he's talking about, right? But of course, we do talk about the vision, like looking behind your back and all that other stuff, right? But for me, that's basics. If you teach a kid to look over his shoulder before he sees the ball, that for me is maybe it could be creativity if you don't think about it as creativity. But for me, that's just being a player. You gotta learn, you gotta know how to do that, right? For me, creativity is like the extra. Okay, well then now you check your shoulder, maybe it's coming, and then boom, you flick to the side, you turn around and you go. That for me, that's creativity, right? But yeah, so something that comes from the personality of the player.
With talking about creativity, so what type of goals do you guys set for players, or what type of goals do you have within the club to share with the public on how to, or what you guys do with everything? It's you guys come in, I know you guys have your philosophy, your vision for the organization, for Lincoln Football Academy, but what type of goals do you guys set? Do you guys, is it a evolving door? Do you guys reset them every time you guys start up a new series, or how does that work for parents to understand then what you guys are doing with players?
There's a slogan. These guys they can speak on that, but there's a slogan that basically we have, which is like preparing for the fight. And FIGHT stands for fearless, intelligent, goal-oriented, humble, and tenacious. Those are the kind of 5 words that we have that we kind of set, which basically like we want players who are fearless, we want players who are intelligent, we have goal-oriented, so you're very goal-oriented with your son. We want humble players, so not arrogant, but humble players, but they're also tenacious, which means they have that just, fight inside of them where they're going to fight through circumstances just to like push through it, right? So and they're mean, but they're not like tenacious is a different word, right? So it's like that's kind of why we use that word. But yeah, so it kind of preparing for the fight, and those are the 5 words that we've kind of defined the identity of a player in LFA. So it's fearless, intelligent, goal-oriented, humble, and tenacious. You guys can speak on the goals where you kind of set for like your players that come in, but that's just a overarching mission statement that will kind of I hope that helps give some like clarity into the slogan.
Yeah, I feel like if I understand the question correctly, is that what are our goals in terms of the development of the player, or right?
Because you have the goals of the academy, and then you have goals that you guys might set throughout. I mean,
okay.
Well, the best thing I've heard so far is always plan for change, and with soccer, it's always changing. The environment's changing, the coaching expectations changing as they have progressed. What kids are expected at U12 now might be completely higher up than it was 20 years ago here in the United States. Then it's just I mean, it's what you guys are planning on doing and the foresight that you guys have for the future.
Oh yeah, well then if there's 2 parts to that, right? Goal when it comes to our goals as an organization, and our goals as like teaching these players how to become better players, right? Goal as an organization for us is to be able to create an academy that provides everything that the player needs, right? Everything the player needs is there, right? So private training, if it's good to play in the club, right, is right there too. What's it called? College recruiting. College recruiting advice for the players, right? Also, we're talking about expanding towards more of like that after youth soccer stage for the players, right? So everything that has to go with college applications and all that other stuff. If a player is good enough to go and try out to play professional somewhere else, maybe not in the US, maybe some other country, or maybe here in the US, provide the guidance for those players, even if those players don't play for Solar, right? So I do have players who play for FC Dallas MLS. I have players who play D1 college. I have players who are at that level where we're trying to help them make that jump to professional. So we're trying to provide to them more than just that training, right? Can we provide them with the management of their career? Can we provide them with the management of their finances, other stuff that we're trying to do in the long term? So for us, LFA is not just going to be just a small private training only company, right? Within LFA, we got people like Hugo, like me, like Anthony, that have ambition to create something bigger than just ourselves, right? Something that impacts more than just local kids, right? And to do that, we need to, have that mindset of what else can we provide to that player that's gonna help him, right? To see he doesn't have to go anywhere else. He can get everything right here with us, right? And little by little, we try to create that academy for the players, right? Now, when it comes to developing the players, I can speak for myself first and say that every time I coach a player, my goal is to make that player the best player that he can be, right? I'm not trying to make him better than the player next to him, right? I'm trying to make him better than the player that he was yesterday, right? And little by little, how is that player going to become the best version of himself? And that for me makes me, that's what makes me love what I do. When I see the player develop certain skills and the parents coming up to me and telling me, oh, I'm so happy that my son scored 3 goals this weekend. It's amazing. All these other parents and asking me what he's doing differently now and other stuff. Now, for me personally, that's what I love right now. As an organization, our goal is basically the same, right? Basically just, like produce more talent in Dallas, produce more talent in the US, produce more talent within organization too, right? So in terms of organization, our goal is to create quality players to help them reach a level that's not just good quality in technique, but also mental matureness and a good mentality of competition, right? Because for me, any player that comes up to me and trains in one of my practices with my team, with the U19s or U17s, they'll notice right away that I love competition. If I see a player that competes, that's that's every day, for me is amazing. So when I go and train a player in private training, I try to influence them in that way, right? Have them a mentality of like, doesn't matter what happens, right? Compete, right? Doesn't matter if you're losing 3-0 or winning 3-0, you still gotta compete, right? If you come to practice and you don't feel good today, I don't know, you feel sad or you feel mad or you feel whatever, you still gotta come and compete, right? You still gotta come and put in your effort. You still gotta come and perform, right? That for me, I like to instill that in the players, right? I'll let Hugo give some more thoughts into those goals that we have as an organization.
Yeah, just to round off we every day we speak and we want LFA to grow to be, like Fierro said, not only a private training organization, but we want to produce players and we want to give them the best advice possible, the best the best training sessions, yes, but the best advice for them to grow to be whatever they need. They will be in the future, but mostly as soccer players, we want them to come in with that same culture that we have, that same mentality that we have, and you will see your player get that extra growth, and you will see, if that player has that same culture that we have, that same mentality, he will not only stay with us, but we will help him in the future, and this program will help him grow tremendously in the future. From starting from whether he joins a private training, group training, or UNDP teams. Our goal is not only to stop there, but to help him develop into that soccer player that he's wishing to be, and that we believe that he can be if he stays with us within the program the whole time.
I like that. I like to hear that. As you guys are growing, I'm assuming you guys are growing because I call it the west side of town is becoming more and more popular for soccer than the east side, because east is Frisco and Allen and McKinney area are all they call it in Plano is the mecca of soccer for the DFW area. Do you guys hope to have your own facility, or are you guys going to continue being where you're at if you guys are able to grow large enough to have your own facility?
Oh yeah, we want to keep growing, right? We want to have different locations too. So that facility, it's in the plan, right? At this point, I know we've had enough experiences to know that that even though that's our goal to have that facility, that facility is gonna come any different way, right? We're not gonna focus on how we're gonna get that facility. We're gonna go straight to the facility. Maybe we gotta open up a couple more locations, one in Frisco, another one in North Dallas, things like that. Like the same system that we have over here in Colleyville, try to recreate that in other locations. And then after we get to a certain point that we can say, okay, well then, we get a facility. Yeah, the goal is there. The goal is there to have that facility there. But so right now the plan is just to stay in that field, and then recreate the same thing that we have in Colleyville, recreate it in Dallas, recreate it in Frisco, recreate it in other places where we're big enough to say, okay, well now can we put together a training facility? And the question is, what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be in Colleyville? Is it gonna be in Dallas? Is it gonna be right? So there's different things that right now we're grateful for all the good things that are coming up to us, but at the same time, it's like we're humbled enough to know that it's not gonna come easy. It's gonna come a certain way, but we don't know if it's gonna be next year, 2 years, or 5 years from now. So, but the goal stays the same. We're gonna work hard to be able to get to the point where we can get that facility, right? And even it's gonna help the kids in the summer, not being having to train in 107-degree weather, or in the winters not having to train in like -3 or 4 degrees, right? So yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Maybe Anthony can answer on this, or any of you guys can. So Anthony, you said
Anthony,
the goal for for your coaches that work with you is to have this to be their full-time career and path. What is I look at this as there's two options. I mean, there is the education side of this becoming more like a true academy that we see over in Europe, and that is following in a footprint of having a semi-pro team attached to you guys, and then having a school or something so kids can come and you guys can have an education process. But I mean, honestly, homeschooling, you can homeschool your kid 2 hours a day and they're done with their schoolwork, and then they can go play football the rest of the day. And we talked about it with our son, is will that be something that we have to look forward to have his growth and development for the future? If his true goal is to play professional football someday, it's what sacrifices will he have to make to meet that goal? And I feel like if you have the right people around you, having a program where kids can touch the ball and get their 10,000 touches a day, as we hear about so lovely from Brazil, in South America, these kids are getting 5,000, 10,000 touches a day. Is it something that you guys are looking for in the future, or you guys don't want to comment on it because it's something that's in the works and not public?
I think that on the when I first started with this, when I first came as a coach, going back to the beginning about just an introduction, just being a coach of a team and kind of building to how it was. I think a year ago I was really looking at like building a school or something like that, but then I thought in the short term, like I need to fix the problem of the teams first. So the teams was, how do we get connected with Solar? Because Solar is a major organization that can provide a pathway. So right now, like I'm kind of myself, my heart is in both places right now, to where I'm like pushing for Solar. I'm also pushing for LFA. Like, so I'm kind of in both right now, and I'm really heavily invested in both things. So I don't know. I can't give you a concrete answer right now on where it is, because kind of how you said about soccer changes so fast that in a year we may be in a different position. So I also can see the benefits of doing the school. I also wouldn't, when I look at the pros and cons, I think a lot of the con is, I don't know how I would feel with having the responsibility of a child's education. So not just from soccer, but from school. So, because ultimately if we build a school, we're also then responsible for education, even though we're not directly involved. Like, we are directly involved at the same time. So I don't know if I would want that responsibility. So if we can get the best kind of worlds of where they go to school, and we create a more professionalized academy without doing school, I think for myself it would probably be now that when the solar thing is now settled a bit, when LFA is settled, I would really revisit that in like 12 to 24 months and to think, is that the next step for us? Because the step for us going to solar was a huge step of giving up basically our club but moving towards an academy. So right now the full focus for the next couple of years is how can we build solar's program, the club within inside of a club, and also how can we build LFA? What does it look like when we build the Frisco, Colleyville, and North Dallas pieces of the LFA portion of it? And then I look, do I want to build solar teams also at Frisco and North Dallas? Do I want to replicate the same thing? And do we as a group say, you know what, let's build solar teams over there? Or do we just build in Colleyville? Or do we, like, there's a lot of different things to where
Right.
I don't know the concrete answer yet. So, and I think the biggest thing for myself is like when we did the solar thing, you know, I asked all the coaches continuously their thoughts on it. And so I don't want this just to be what I want to do. It is, what do we want to do as a collective? How do we feel? Do we feel is the best thing? Because now going into the solar merge and building LFA, like I have the piece also knowing that all the coaches also are bought into that. So building something like a school that becomes the soccer portion, I think would be quite easy because there would be a lot of buy-in, but it's the school. Like, I don't know what happens if in the back of my mind, if a kid fails his SAT, if a kid fails the STAR test, like that, those are things that just from educationally, I don't know how I would respond to that.
Gotcha. No, I just curious because I feel when there's a passion for the game, and I've talked to several people now, when there's a true passion for these kids, sometimes, as I hate to say, education gets in the way. Education's so crucial going on to college, whatever their dream is, but for your grade school. But here in the United States, you're here until 18. If you go to other parts of the world, you're done at 16, 17 years old. And you go on, you can go play soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, for 2-3 years before you go off to the university or whatever it may be. But I feel like there's a gap here in the United States that we don't have to be competitive. And we do create some phenomenal soccer players, but I feel like a lot of that is just because they were with the right coach. Coach Fierro said it, the luck. They had the right coaches at the right time. They were in the right environment. Their parents had the means, or they had someone that had the means to help them get to be where they needed to be. And
you know,
for me, it's a curiosity factor.
In the US as well, you know, you guys have 350 million people. So
yes.
In England, they have 50 million people. So the US is 7 times the population of England. So
right.
And if you look at like universities, like if you take 20 years, how many more youth soccer players are there now today than there were 20 years ago? There's the same amount of colleges. They haven't increased 400 college soccer programs. So it's becoming harder and harder to get in. So, and the professional side, the last 20 years, even 10 years, how many MLS clubs have they added? Maybe five. USL, right. They've maybe added a few. So it's just becoming harder and harder to make it. So to your point, you got to create better developmental things. Like there's a lot of, like a school. That's why I always think like a school is a good option because they're getting more touches on the ball. But the likelihood of those kids making it professional, that's also a reality of it's very difficult. So the more important piece is that educationally, these kids are ready at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old to go and make a successful life for themselves. And that doesn't mean just soccer. That means, you know, you're a parent. Like if your son at 19 years old said, I don't want to play soccer anymore, but he's given up his whole life education for soccer. And then what the heck are you going to do now? So it's also
right.
go and get something because it prepares you for your future life to then one day be a dad, be a mom. Like it just, that's the bigger portion to this than just soccer. So I don't have the answer yet to that because doing a school isn't just soccer. It's the other part of it. It's education.
It's the education. And but going back and to what you said, the numbers are getting smaller and smaller of getting the opportunity to get in. And I recently heard a quote, and I don't remember who said it, but the kids that have the drive, the tenacity, the word that you have, part of your slogan, that have that and the drive to do it. How many of those kids that don't make it, that have all those five things, feature, I don't know what you call them, visions of your academy, if they have all 5 of those, and they're out there grinding day in and day out, what's the percentage of those kids that don't make it? I guarantee you it's probably closer to 25%, not 99% that don't make it. We have how many, they say, what is it, 0.1%, I'll probably say 0.5% of kids go play pro or go play in college. But how many of those kids that didn't make it really did sacrifice it all to go play? I think that's the difference. I think that's the difference of mentality we have to understand here in the United States is what's the true percentage? Because if you have let's say 1,000 kids that play soccer at U20 or U18 here in the DFW area and between two clubs, how many of them actually are out there every single day grinding day in and day out every free minute they have? Versus the kids, it's like I listen to parents all the time, and one parent said recently, it's like, I don't know how good my kid is. Well, when they don't participate in team activities or participate on their own outside of training, how good are they going to be? Like, is the real goal really soccer, or is that just the fantasy that we fed our kids for 12, 15 years that they have? It's I don't know if you guys have something to say on that, because I think your last one you gave me, the T, hits that on the head. It's an internal grind. And if you guys are coaching that into players, I think you guys will have a very bright future with that. One question for both of you, for all of you, and you guys can take a turn and you guys can answer as long as you want, but it shouldn't take that long. Who has been the greatest influence on you as a player and a coach to be who you are today? Whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I would say I have two different people, right? So the person who influenced me most as a player, in terms of developing my skill and understanding soccer in a different way that I actually did, because I had a lot of good coaches, right? And I'm sure Hugo did, Anthony did too, right? But that one coach that allowed me to see the game in a different way, to make that jump, was Jose Mabazan, right? So Coach Jose Mabazan there at FC Dallas, the way that he explained the game to me, the way that he made me see my mistakes, made me realize a lot of things, right? So that made me a better player just by being coached by him, right? Now, as a coach, I would say my biggest influence, and Anthony, don't put your own horn, right? But my biggest influence to be a coach was Anthony, right? Because from day one, Anthony was the one who taught me how to be a coach, basically, how to take the knowledge that we already had and feed it to the kids in a way that they can understand it. And Anthony has been, I don't know if it's the same for Hugo, but for me, Anthony has been the one that got me agarré de Anthony y no me solté. How do you say in English? I grabbed Anthony and I didn't let go. I just grabbed him wherever he went. I made sure I was there with him.
Coach Hugo?
I agree what Coach Fierro said. To me, honestly, one of the main reasons why I think I'm an okay coach, is because I didn't have, growing up, I didn't really, thinking back, I didn't have really good coaches. To me, I believe I was ever exposed to really good coaches, which is in part why I want to teach the kids what I didn't learn, or what I had to learn on my own, and what I had to honestly push within myself to teach myself, and I want to make it easier for these kids. So my main people were my mom and my dad, because they taught me to always be there, whether, and I still do it, whether it's whether you think it's gotta be a bad circumstance or a good circumstance, just try it out. Always be there. Never miss. Always try. For an example, in soccer, never miss a training. You don't feel like going, just go. Go try it out, and there you'll figure it out. But they taught me to always be there, and they were always the pushers. Even in my decision to be a coach, like Fierro even said, there was a time where you decide what do you want to do in life, and they gave me the go. They told me just do it, be there, and you'll figure it out. And from there, they've been my biggest motivators, and I'm very, very happy for that. And then my second motivator, or I've had a couple of coaches, which is Anthony, Coach Dobson, and Coach Matt, which honestly, without them and the opportunities that they've provided for me, Without them believing in me, I don't think I would be where I'm at, and I don't think I would have grown as much as I have. So every day I'm just grateful to know I can learn from amazing coaches, and mostly with Coach Anthony, where even Coach Fierro said it seems like he's years beyond us, even though he's only 3 years older, 4 years older than me. But um, I, it's an amazing experience to be working with all these guys, and I'm just very happy to be where I'm at.
And Coach Anthony.
Yeah, I'm the old guy living in a dirty old body.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why he doesn't play with us anymore.
That's it, man.
I'm 50 years old.
There you go, exactly.
I
guys
would
play.
say my biggest influencer, it's the same guy for a player and a coach, would be my national team coach. His name is Julio Ribas, and he's Uruguayan, and he's been the one that like has just taught me a lot about. He didn't really break down a lot of stuff like I know Fierro spoke about Josema Basan, who's I've seen a lot of his stuff on training and YouTube. He's very good at breaking down details. And Julio doesn't really he hasn't really taught me much how to be a coach in terms of like, hey, do this and this point and do this at this point and do this and this point. It's just by listening to him that we joke sometimes, me and the captain of my country, that we say we can only take him in doses because he's so intense that you just literally like you can only take him for a certain time because you could like it's just like a pounding noise all the time on you. He's the guy that if you drop your standard like one little spit, he's gonna be on you like the whole time. And I remember when I was a player, like there was times when I'd start a game and I'd misplace the first pass and he'd be on me the whole game, like right there. And he's got this loud shout, and he'd be like, "Oh, you're starting with the jungle movements already. Like just staying just rubbish to me the whole game." And from one bad pass, he'd ride me for 90 minutes the whole time. But he was just like that. And now that I saw him as my coach, and now that I'm part of a coaching staff with him for my country, I see like a completely different side of him, where he is like a human. And it's actually cool to see how when I was a player, I was like so intimidated of him. But now as a coach, being part of his staff, a lot of it is kind of like it's for show because you got to protect that relationship with your players. But then inside the circle with him, he makes more jokes than everybody. So like, and especially with the coaching stuff, he's the biggest joker. But the biggest way to him is his passion is what has ignited like my coaching. Every time I go, I feel like I'm doing a master's degree of coaching because I go there and I come back like re-energized. Like I leave on Monday for like an 8 or 9 days. For me, it's like a doctorate degree of coaching. Like he ignites my fire. When I come back, like I could just go into them more because it's like a funnel to where I actually tell him, I say, Julio, you're actually mentoring my coaches back in America because you ignite my fire, which then I ignite them. So I kind of tell him how you got like a circle, and he's like, no, you just got to keep pushing it. So that would be him. He's the biggest guy as a player and a coach. He's like someone like Jose Mourinho. He's like that type of person who's just so influential in the game, and to learn from someone like that of that level of knowledge. He's the only guy to win the Uruguayan top division with 4 different clubs. And he's won the third and he's won the second division in Uruguay with 3 different clubs. So he's won the second division and the first division with 7 different clubs. Like that's unbelievable how you do that. So to learn from someone like that is, yeah, he would definitely be my biggest mentor.
I hope all you listeners really enjoyed this 3-segment installment of Lincoln FC with Lincoln Academy and Solar. Now, the player intros was a great place to start. I really couldn't break it up because I feel like there was so much information there. I think Coach Fierro shared a lot of information and insight of the truth of becoming a pro soccer player and the hard reality of it, and going to college and playing. Coach Hugo shared his experience and bouncing between the States and Mexico to play. growing up, and Anthony sharing his experiences, and to moving to how they merged Lincoln Football Club into Solar to provide a pathway for their players beyond what they thought they could do. Now, the third installment with Lincoln Academy. I think there's a lot they're trying to do, and what they want to do with their players is absolutely amazing that come in contact with them. They have something unique and special to them as coaches and their academy. The only way these things work, and you see how your players do, is throw them in it for 6 months. See if there's improvement. See if your player is listening and trying what they're doing with these coaches to move to the next level. I will say this is not a paid endorsement for them. This is them coming on and sharing what they're doing. They have something special in Colleyville, and if you're in that area, give it a shot. If you're not, make the drive and try it out. I will always promote all these programs that I have come on, but give these guys a chance and see if your kids like it. Now, on to business with the podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, rate it. Just give it some stars, give it a review, and share these episodes with others. It's the only way my podcast can grow, so I can try to help more families in this process of trying to educate and share information. So until next time, I'll see you at the pitch.